is insanity. 2 matches left, and not one player has been eliminated from the playoffs.
That's how you wanted it to be, right?
This looks as crazy to you as it does to me, right? I'm not overselling it.
I expected this.
You expected this.
No, of course not. Of course it's insane.
Congratulations to you, by the way. You have clinched a postseason berth by knocking off LSV. That had to feel pretty good.
Well, I've clinched to play a tiebreaker for
a postseason berth. I stand by my phrasing.
Yeah, a wild card entry, perhaps. Yeah, sure.
It can still be a clean cut.
It feels good, you know. I got to fight against Luis Scott Vargas. I think he's a great player, but I've really not had a lot of problems with him. I kind of just played circles around him. He cast one spell. I had a Pyroblast, and
it was all you.
I decided not to play a bunch of strip mines and wastelands because I knew he was going to have like 11 lands anyway. So.
Oh, that was smart.
I really felt tuned in. Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, let's get down to match number 4. This is Rich Shay against Bob Maher. Bob is hoping to escape last. Bob is also hoping to keep all the 7-way tie scenarios in play. If Bob wins, we go to the last match of the season with everyone in the league still in contention. If Rich wins, it eliminates a whole swath of people from the playoffs.
True. And,
now, what do you think of this matchup?
I've talked to Bob a little bit and have been listening in on some of his calls with Dave, and he thinks he's right around 0%, but 0%. Maybe with a little bit more likely than that. But no, it's a really bad
percents.
What's that?
0 is not very many percents.
It's not a lot of percents. There are better percentages to have. I'll give you that. Yeah, I think he talked to Rich also at Eternal Weekend, who agreed that the matchup is very heavily in Rich's favor. Bob a little bit stressed about getting last. Needs Dave to come through for him. He says to beat Raptor.
So he gets a tiebreaker with Raptor at least.
Which either way, that's going to be a good sweat because I actually think that matchup's very close. So
sure.
Either way, we're going to get a good match. Either for seeing if Raptor can avoid playing Bob for last place, or whether we just have the infinite way tie if Bob pulls us out.
Well, here's Dark Confidant. If any card was going to save Bob Maher, it should be this one, right?
Well, this guy looks great. I guess Yawgmoth's Will is not super powered right now, but he has Forcible Backup and Fire and Ice, which are cards he wants. Rich doesn't have red mana or something like that.
All right, Rich is going to force the Dark Confidant, which with his hand I do think makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
What did he remove? I missed it. Oh, the Gush.
Gush.
And Bob's going to force back, removing a Snapcaster.
Yeah.
Why use Snapcaster to get 1 card back when you can Yawgmoth's Will for all of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Yawgmoth's Will not looking super powerful with this current configuration of his hand, but having himself in play can change that very quickly.
Yeah. Delver Flips is less than ideal for Bob.
Yeah. If it had flipped with, let's say, a red card instead of a way to basically search through Rich's deck, because Rich has no red mana, it would be a slightly better spot. Even though I'm sure Bob wouldn't have liked to see a Lightning Bolt get flipped off the top of the deck. Without any red mana, it's not quite as pressing. Do we know what he did with that preordain?
Still in his hand, right?
I believe he preordained into another preordainer. Is that not correct?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I didn't see.
Well, either way, he drew a preordain.
Yeah. Dark Confidant flips. Reveals. We need to open his Jace the Mind Sculptor. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Can we get
Did he take 4 damage off that, even though it went into his hand in a different order than the Underground Sea? Looks like.
I believe he revealed the Jace. The Jace went into the revealed zone. All right. Dark Confidant crunching over. Fire Ice takes out the Delver.
Yeah, this is a big preordain.
Rich has not got much.
Lands and gas.
Pretty much.
I think he's looking for like Volcanic and some kind of Bolt. That would be a nice place to be. Well, there's Volcanic.
Yeah,
halfway. I can see where he put the cards.
Confidant. Library is the revealed card. Take 0.
Not great, not terrible.
Yeah.
Rich has a lot of live draws after hitting that Volcanic, as he can hit a red card to take care of the Bob. And even just a land is going to get him Snapcaster to preordain, which stops Dark Confidant from attacking and It's not like Bob's in a million life. He's already 12 here.
Force of Will doesn't do a whole lot.
I mean, it's going to stop Jace next turn. Something. You know, Jace did get revealed off the flip, so he knows
That's true.
that's coming. So certainly not something he minds seeing, but not the best sequencing of his cards.
Oh. Strip
Wow.
Mine's a nice one.
Stripmine's great.
Now, if you're Bob, do you...
If I'm Bob, I strip that Volcanic, and then next turn I go up to 7 cards, turn my library on, and love my position.
I agree. The question is, the other line that he could consider is to play Jace, but I like your line a lot better. And so does Bob.
Here also, like if he just attacks with the Dark Confidant, he's going to run into a Snapcaster Mage as an Ambush Viper. So this worked out real good for him.
Yep, so he learns about the Snapcaster and knows not to attack with Dark Confidant.
He's also in the position where next turn, if he doesn't want to use Library, or let's say he's forced to use a misstep, he's going to be able to like Snapcaster Fire and Ice. Like let's say Rich's draw is a Delver or a Young Pyromancer. He gets to Snapcaster and well, I guess he can't cast that. I forgot the Strip Mine's about to resolve, but let's say it's a Delver, even better. You can Snapcaster back with Fire and Ice.
Brainstorm, which is going to fire that off. Now, do you not misstep this because you want to get up to 7 for library? Or do you misstep it because Rich is kind of desperate?
I don't know.
It's a tough spot.
That is a very tough judgment call.
He's going to misstep it. He's going to pay the blue mana. There's no reason to pay the life.
I think the fact that the Snapcaster for Fire and Ice option is available, and the fact that he has Dark Confidant in play, so it's not like he really needs more cards.
Sure.
Necessarily in this
He'll
matchup.
settle for 2 cards a turn. You want 3?
Well, I mean, I'll always take 3, but if you can stop the Brainstorm as, like, you know, the penalty for not having those extra cards, it's not a bad place to be.
Yeah. All right, Brainstorm found, looks like Preordain. Oh, Brainstorm hasn't resolved yet, has it?
It resolved.
No, it has.
Back, and he has a Preordain, a Tarn still.
Got it.
I believe an Island went back, actually, but I'm not positive.
I think the Preordain went back too, right? Yeah, we were looking at a halfway resolved hand. So Rich kept Force of Will and a blue card.
Yeah, not planning on sacking the Tarn, I imagine, to get the Preordain. Wants to keep the Force of Will, so doesn't want to hold the Preordain. Yep. Makes sense. Bob looking to not take a lot of damage off himself this turn.
Yeah, I may have done a fist pump earlier in the day when Chris Bakula's Dark Confidant revealed a Force of Will. It's not what Bob wants to see here. I think he lost a Vintage Championship that way, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our Confidants revealed 1 or 2 too many Force of Wills.
Yeah, once you get to 2 Force of Wills, it's probably about too many.
I think he got hit for 15 from 3 of them.
I think you might be right.
Oh, and Turtenwald was the Vintage Champion that year. Anyway,
champ.
This time around, Dark Confidant revealed a Ponder.
Ponder is excellent with himself in play, as he can, you know, sculpt the middle card to not be taking damage down the road if he wants.
Yeah, if he does that, he's not doing the Fire Ice play, though.
No, I don't think he's going to do that this turn. He's not in. You know, once he gets down to that 5 life total where he can just die. Although, does he have Tinker Colossus in his deck? Is he at risk of just dying? I'm not sure his exact deck list. You know, if you're 1 out of 40 or whatever to die, you kind of have to play.
Yes, he does have a Blightsteel Colossus in his list.
Okay, sure. The 1 out of 40 risk is certainly reasonable to allow.
You can live with that. Yeah, once it's Force of Will, that starts. Okay, Rich is going to fight the Snapcaster. Does not want Snapcaster Fire Ice to happen here.
This turns on being able to actually cast that Ponder.
True. Yeah, and Bob's got a Yawgmoth's Will that he can set up for as well. So,
yeah.
Snapcaster lives a turn, not necessarily that many turns though. Now, is there some point where you start thinking about trading Dark Confidant for Snapcaster and then playing out the other Dark Confidant? For the Jace?
There's certainly a point, but I don't think we're there yet. We're still at enough life, and Dark Confidant's providing so much value. Now, let's say this Ponder completely bricks, but has cards that he wants. Like, he's going to end up having to take a ton of damage off it next turn. You can trade because it's not so bad. You have a backup, but we're definitely not at the point where he has to. I mean, it might be what he's doing right now, though, which is completely reasonable at any point. I mean, like you said, he has another one. Certainly has the line next turn at the very least to Trinket Mage and play another Dark Confidant.
All right, Rich draws the Preordain that he'd left on top of his library, casts it. I don't know if we can see what they are. Yeah, Bob left Dark Confidant on defense, so presumably he's planning to block with it.
Yeah, his hand is also busted enough that he doesn't necessarily need extra cards as opposed to playing it safe as much as possible.
Rich is empty-handed. Rich is hellbent. Oh, Lightning Bolt for Rich.
Yeah, I really don't think this is something that Bob minds. I mean, the Dark Confidant is just going to trade the Snapcaster. Losing the bolt, he probably didn't care about the Dark Confidant, so it getting bolted is unfortunate, but I don't think it's a big deal as opposed to where earlier in the game it would have been huge. It's done its job.
Yeah, Bob is up 4 cards at this point. I mean, he's got a handful of gas against 2 land, a Snapcaster, and 0 cards in hand.
Yep. He can do whatever he wants right now. He can Trinket Mage up Lotus, setting up a great Yawgmoth's Will. He can... yeah. He can,
Trinket Mage, Lotus, Jace.
Play Jace, yeah.
Yeah, Trinket Mage, Lotus, Jace, Yawgmoth's Will next turn. Trinket Mage can block Snapcaster. That all sounds pretty good. Well, he's going to... Wow, Yawgmoth's Will here? For the Strip Mine. Okay.
Interesting.
It's just Strip Mine Fire?
That's his line.
I like Trinket Mage, Lotus, Jace setting up for Yawgmoth's Will next turn a little better, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the best play. I'm not sure if he just didn't see it or thought that this was a better line. I mean, Trinket Mage just gets out there and blocks Snapcaster and protects your Jace. It's fantastic. And you have Jason play. I mean, he's going to get a Brainstorm this turn. But,
I mean, Bob's still in fine shape. Draws a 3rd Dark Confidant of the game.
Like, I can understand wanting to get Yawgmoth's Will out when your opponent is tapped out with no cards in hand.
Yeah.
But your position's going to be so dominant next turn that, you know, him with 1 card in hand's not going to change anything, I don't think. So, I'm not in love with the play, but I do think Bob is so far ahead in this game that he should be just fine.
All thanks to Dark Confidant.
Yeah, Dark Confidant with Forcible Backup was so good. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, Rich gets his Snapcaster into play while he briefly has 2 mana. Shouldn't matter much. Trinket Mage is still in a great position to block. And Trinket Mage, Lotus, Jace still totally works right here.
Okay. He's going to start looking to shuffle away some of these Dark Confidants.
Yeah, that's 7 life. That's probably the right play. I mean, Jace does let him sculpt the top of his library, though.
Yeah, that's true. Jace with Dark Confidant is, of course, fantastic.
Yeah, they're friends.
Hand in hand, so no risk at all.
I think they've gotten to know each other in the Home for Broken Cards. They're on good terms.
Pretty powerful spells. I'm not too surprised. Oh wow! No, never mind. I was combining the Jace's ability with Fate Seal. Say that you can put Snapcaster on top of his library. That would be so good. Just complete mental effort.
Oh, the Blightsteel was there. Dark Confidant, near miss. Not that near, but still exciting. All right, Blightsteel goes back. What? Dark Confidant?
I don't think it matters. He's going to answer, right? Yeah.
True.
So library is going to be turned on next turn with the Jace activation. Bob is putting the hammer down. Rich looking for Treasure Cruise or Ancestral immediately.
Rich has 1 land, 1 creature, and no cards in his hand. How lopsided is this game right here?
Wow. Rich had Snapcastered a Mental Misstep earlier in the game or earlier in the turn. And it looks like
Bob walked into it. Oops.
Yeah, I couldn't see that had happened, but
I couldn't either. I didn't notice it. I probably would have walked into it too. And then top decks Treasure Cruise.
Yep. Well, Bob is going to be very tilted if he loses this game. That was a critical mistake, but
yeah, he didn't need to Ancestral on his turn. He could have just said go. I think he just didn't even. You know, Snapcaster was so clearly coming into play because the mana was getting stripped that none of us paid any attention to what card gained flashback.
Right. Yeah, he could have casted, of course, on upkeep. Rich had no cards in hand, so no risk there. And casting on his own turn, he already knew two of the cards on top, so he
Yeah.
could only hit a Mox, and it doesn't matter. He wouldn't have played a Mox anyway because of the library. And also, there's just no reason to with the Jace out and everything else. So a very large mistake, but also one that shouldn't matter.
Sounds right. All right, Jace. Still got the Blightsteel floating around. Now there's a Demonic Tutor, which is both a shuffle effect and a way to access a broken card.
Yeah, I mean, Bob doesn't have this game locked up. Like, Rich has the Force of Will. Bob has no permission. I mean, obviously, Bob's in great shape.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what the DT target actually is here. He's already used his Yawgmoth's Will. So it doesn't have either half of Vault.
For another Jace activation. Like, what he could do is put back. Well, I guess
go
he
get
can't
Tinker.
really put back Blightsteel and play Dark Confidant, but he could bolt the Snapcaster and DT for a Time Walk.
I think you DT for Tinker. I think you put back Blightsteel and then Tinker it out.
I mean, you could, but not going to work out too well.
I'm just saying, that's the best thing that he could attempt to resolve. It's hard to put your opponent on Force of Will blue card when last turn they had no cards in hand.
Well, the thing is, you're losing a little bit less position if you just go get Time Walk, and you're getting to use the Jace, and you're attacking your opponent down to, effectively lethal.
That's fair. Yeah, the Time Walk is pretty good. Maybe that is safer. Well,
I
we'll
mean,
see if Rich is going to.
Both cards are excellent. Like, Tinker's far more powerful, of course.
Rich does not force the DT. Bob is on my line. He goes and gets the Tinker.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit better.
Like you say, though, not actually going to work.
Yeah, but it's also going to get the misstep out of his hand. He's going to bolt the Snapcaster, and he's going to attack Rich on the 5 life. It's a good place to be.
He could have actually bolted the Snapcaster to try to fish for misstep, knowing it's also the blue card.
It's true. I'm not sure if Rich has main deck Pyroblast or Flusterstorms or anything like that, where it might actually.
He does. He has main deck Pyros.
Yeah, so that might actually not work out better for him.
Yeah,
in the end.
no, I think this seems better.
Yeah.
Tinker's a 2-for-1. That's not the end of the world. That's actually fine. Bolt the Snapcaster. Rich is now hellbent. 2 lands and nothing. You have a Jace, a creature that is lethal in, 3 attack phases and 5 lands?
Yeah. But that's nothing a couple Treasure Cruises can't fix.
Sure. Yeah, Rich needs to draw a cruise again. That's what he did last turn.
Yeah,
wow, he takes a turn off the clock in order to thin.
Well, he's going to have to get a land anyway. I mean, might as well thin now. He's not going to win this game on a tropical. And if he just straight draws Volcanic, it's horrible. So I think Rich's play is...
Yeah, all right, I'll buy that. Jace reveals not much.
Not much, but probably enough.
Yeah. Yeah, Flusterstorm can counter some things.
Well, what he can do is just put back, let's say, Soul Ring and Scalding Tarn on top and play the Bob and know that he's safe. And so he has 2 lethal threats and 2 counter spells. So,
sure.
Worst case scenario is, of course, drawing Fire, assuming that's in Rich's deck. Flusterstorm takes care of that. Misstep takes care of Bolt and Ancestral. So he's looking to fade Treasure Cruise into things that don't exist, basically.
Yeah, Treasure Cruise is Rich's only good draw, and that's not going to do it.
Yeah, I even
Bob
think Treasure Cruise can't draw anything.
Bob Maher, on the strength of Dark Confidant, up a game, trying to keep alive the dream of a 7-way tie. Trying to get himself out of last place.
Flips Colossus. Moto just error, even though he put Scalding Tarn on top and just Colossus flips and just dies. That's a nice gift from Worth.
May as well Jace. He doesn't actually know that Rich's card is a blank. Rich is going to make him play it out. Bob now has Mana Drain also.
Yeah,
4 counters, a Dark Confidant, and a Trinket Mage. Kill you! Wow.
We saw an Eternal Weekend when your opponent has a Bob or a Crypt out. It's okay to let him play it out. Weird stuff.
Right. All right. So Bob, in a matchup that you said he was living in fear of. He did not like his chances coming into this. Felt like Rich had a significantly better deck and a matchup advantage, but Bob got it done game one. He just needs to steal one of these next two. Let's take a look at the deck list. Will anything interesting happen to this matchup after sideboarding?
Well, we have Electrickery that can take care of Dark Confidant. None of these other cards look remotely
Wow,
playable.
he brings in the Electrickery, doesn't he? That's hilarious.
I mean, we're talking about Snapcasters and Bobs.
Yeah.
Something.
Makes sense.
Grafter's Kate shuts down exactly Yawgmoth's Well and Snapcasters, but Rich has his own Snapcasters, so even worse. Doesn't make a lot of sense. He could certainly bring in the Mountain. He's probably going to bring in the Mountain, I guess.
Well, it depends if he has anything bad to take out. Like his deck.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how bad something like Dak Vaden is. I don't really know. I guess you can't really take out Dak Vaden in a Blightstone Colossus matchup. So
yeah, Bob has the Tinker target you want to steal. I think you keep that.
Yeah.
And the +2 fuels Treasure Cruise. Yeah, it's reasonable.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking back to my matchup and not focused on this one. So yeah.
No worries. All right, let's look at Bob's. Bob, anything good to bring in?
All those Pyroblasts look nice.
Yeah, the Pyroblast look very good.
Lightning Bolts.
I'm not opposed to Wasteland.
Yeah, I think Wasteland's probably for decks that are leaning on Library of Alexandria, which is definitely not this one. Wasteland not too hot against Gush decks in general, so.
Oh, it is. There's only 2 Gushes, but yeah.
Oh, is that all right? Well.
Yeah, without Fast Bond, you can't play more than 2 Gushes in these Delver lists, and they're super mana tight, which is why I'm tempted by it. Yeah. Even 2 Gushes though might be enough that it's not worth it.
Well, the card's not that great against them anyway. Like they operate on so few lands that it's not a fantastic threat. Actually, all of Bob's cards look pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was looking. There's nothing he needs to take out.
Here is definitely not good.
Yeah, take out the Dak for a Pyroblast. Take out something else for a Pyroblast. Shuffle it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure why Bob was so down on this matchup. His deck looks solid.
Have you ever seen Bob claim that he was advantaged in the match? He's got that kind of European sensibility about it, where like I even think part of the way he motivates himself is to like mentally back himself into a corner where he's forced to play perfectly if he's going to have any chance.
You make a good point. I forgot about when he actually got paired against me. It was Merfolk against Oath, which is like the definitive 50-50 matchup, I think, if you ask a lot of people. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I felt like I was slightly disadvantaged.
Same. I felt I was slightly disadvantaged.
And Bob just said I was a huge favorite. Like, he could not win type thing.
No, it's absolutely a motivational technique. He's been using that forever.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest of all time. A little self-deprecating.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get down to the game. Bob can win one more if we keep alive the 7-way tie dream.
If Bob wins this game, it's on David Williams to win for a clean top 4 break.
Or Raptor to win to force a 7-way tie.
That is insanity. Wow.
Yeah, meanwhile, if Rich comes back and wins these two, he eliminates 1, 2, 3, like 5 people from the playoffs.
Yeah, he eliminates everyone except for Dave can get in.
Yep.
So, we got 2 people locked as for sure on the top 4, and you got me locked for, as you said, a postseason berth of whatever that may entail.
You're at least a tiebreaker.
Hey, I get to play more Magic. There's nothing better than when you're playing a tournament, especially like a PT, where they go, you get to play even more rounds now. You're like, that means something real good happened for you.
Pretty much.
Doesn't happen very often.
Turn 1 Dark Confidant. This is exactly how it should be, right? It took him till the 3rd set to put these cards in his deck. They seem to like him.
Delver does not flip, although red mana source is... I'm sure Rich is happy to see it.
Yeah.
Although if he fronts out Young Pyromancer here, Bob already has the Fire and Ice in his
Oh, you're kidding. Oh my god, that is about to happen, isn't it? He's totally supposed to run out Young Pyromancer, and then Time Walk next turn with a Young Pyromancer in play.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is completely correct.
Oh boy.
And E is going to get so blown out.
Rich Shay just necrolocked himself?
Maher draws the Snapcaster. It takes 2. We'll live with that. Cannot get this Volcanic Island into play fast enough.
Well, yeah, especially he drew Flusterstorm, knowing he can protect the
Even Force of Will. He can't even get Force of Will here.
Yeah, exactly. Flusterstorm is probably exactly the card he wants to draw, too.
Jeez.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Well, he's
Now
going to
I,
have to survive some flips still.
wow. Now I find myself starting to cheer for Raptor. I did not think I was going to have a shot at making the playoffs. That's insane. All right.
This game, again, is not over. If he flips Blightsteel next turn, he's probably just a dog. I mean,
I
maybe he boarded it out.
don't think so.
It's unlikely. I'll give you that.
Oh, he's got the key, too.
He'll probably just flip Time Vault. So he's going to, I assume, go Young Pyromancer, and then get Snapcaster Fire Iced again. God,
I mean, Rich isn't doing anything wrong.
No, of course not. I mean, I don't think so. Maybe I missed something, but...
No, I mean, I don't see other reasonable lines with his hand.
There's certainly other reasonable ones, but not ones I would take.
Right. Yeah, Volcanic was the reveal.
He could get screwed if he decides to cast Soul Ring before Snapcastering.
Oh, because he gets misstepped.
He did not make that mistake.
Yeah, it means that he won't have Flusterstorm up, but...
No.
That's okay.
Well, when you're looking at the answer being Forcible, I'm sure he's not really sweating it quite as much.
Right.
I mean, he knows he didn't have Forcible last turn, too. I mean,
right.
His Pyromancer never fired. So he would have to join Forcible this turn.
Dark Confidant chips in. Yeah, this feels like Rich's out. Rich's path to victory involves Blightsteel being on top of Bob Maher's library. I really don't see another way for Bob to lose from here.
I mean, he can draw Treasure Cruise off this Time Walk and things can happen, but like he could just draw Treasure Cruise and then draw he could just draw Fire Ice. And
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, obviously I'd much rather be in Bob's seat, but it's not a game that's over. I mean, Treasure Cruise can turn it.
All right, well, Rich decides to bolt the Dark Confidant. Seems completely correct.
Any more where that came from, Rich? What are you doing? Little does he know, Bob always comes with multiple copies of himself.
Island.
Bob goes for the Brainstorm here, I imagine, and gets misstepped.
Sure.
Brainstorm
bait with the Soul Ring first.
Sure.
Which also gets misstepped, I think. I don't know. Do you misstep this if you're Rich? Do you care? It's already got 4 mana.
It's because you have 2.
Yeah, because you have 2, you're going to go ahead. You even have an Ancient Grudge.
Right.
You know, mana. Yeah.
Bob might actually... Bob, I guess he's not. I thought there was a chance that he would cast Brainstorm and Flusterstorm.
No, I mean, I think he's actually, with no reshuffle effect, he's not in a super hurry to cast that Brainstorm.
No, certainly not.
I mean, maybe you cast it here to set the top of your deck for Dark Confidant.
Yeah, that's...
All right, Rich strips the only source of black. Not nothing. Yeah, Bob is going to Brainstorm. Do the Blightsteel Colossus check.
Yeah, it's so good if you can put Blightsteel Colossus in a position where you draw it during your draw step and not your Bob step.
Yes.
And just know that everything looks great for the rest of the game.
But Rich has that other mental misstep, and he's going to...
Well, now Bob can just cast Flusterstorm because Rich did not pay light.
Yeah, Storm is... There'll be 3 copies of Flusterstorm, right? Yeah, totally agree. He is going to Flusterstorm, so he is empty-handed, but Brainstorm's going to resolve at the bottom of the stack, putting 1 card in his hand and putting a non-lethal card on top of his library.
Well, unlikely to be playing Draco, but...
You know what I meant.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bob's position, he's solidifying it quite well. He wants to see the Colossus here is the one. I guess.
Mana Drain, Flusterstorm, Mox Sapphire.
Sure. So
hold the Mana Drain, put the Mox on top of the Flusterstorm. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and Rich
Bob
has no
does.
he's facing down 2 counter spells. Ugh. It's a gross place to be. 3-turn clock.
Yep.
Gotta flip Blight still quick.
Crunch.
And
He might even
just
be able to survive Blightsteel at this point. Blightsteel drops him to 4. Okay.
yeah, no, certainly a huge favorite if he gets Blight still. Yeah.
Preordain. Can Rich find basically? I don't know what he can. He has to find multiple threats.
I mean, in his own mind, he's thinking, "I gotta hit Fire Ice. That's a great spot to be in." But
Yeah, or Treasure Cruise in Fire Ice is even better.
right, I mean, assuming he hits a land off that as well. But yeah,
Right.
but I mean, he knows that just walks out. He could be on blanks.
Ponder and a red card. Looks like he's going to keep the Ponder. Cast it. Look some more.
Get Flusterstormed. Just because Flusterstorm like can't actually counter a Treasure Cruise later on, there's a reasonable chance he does it. Not 100%. I think you probably do because you know it's probably his last relevant card right now.
Agreed.
Just to get some value out of it.
Flusterstorms looked pretty good here. He's probably about to see Fire Blast. Wow. Bob, I think he's got it, right? Unless he takes 16 in 2 Dark Confidant phases, and he didn't. He just took 0 that turn. He's got a mana drain for whatever card Rich Shay draws off the top of his library.
Yeah.
That should do it.
In theory, Rich would have multiple outs and like Fire and Ice Electricity type cards, but Bob has the mana drain.
Exactly.
And so the tie continues to grow.
Unbelievable.
Bob Maher was 0-5 in this tournament, right?
Bob Maher was 0-5 in this tournament. Yes. He was 0-5.
And he might make the playoffs.
And he might make the playoffs.
This is crazy.
He did have the advantage of playing against a bunch of these Steel City Vault decks, which didn't put up a great record, but there you go. TGO wins. The 7-way tie is live. Rich Shay falls into a tie with Bob Maher, Chris Pakula, Randy Bueller, and Tom Martell. It all comes down to the last match of the season.
A lot
David
of
Williams
are tied up.
David Williams can put himself cleanly into the top 4 if he can win this match. Meanwhile, Josh Utter-Layton can create all kind of chaos and a 7-way tie. Oh, by the way, if David wins, not only is he in for clean top 4, Josh is cleanly last, all by himself.
Absolutely. Now, has this been discussed, this potential 7-way? Because I know we were talking brackets and things like that, but does it become different when we're playing for both a playoff seed and last?
So what we said was we were going to do a bracket and somebody was going to get a bye. But the fact that it's also a tie for last, I don't know what that means for the bye. Does that mean you just have to play double elimination?
Yeah, it doesn't work, right? I mean,
it seems weird. Giving somebody a bye means they're guaranteed not last. Do we just random somebody not last? I actually think the rules as published say somebody at random gets a bye and they're not last.
The problem
last
was
place is whoever goes 0-3.
When we discussed, like, let's say there's a 3-way tie or a 5-way tie for last, it was going to be a bye, a negative bye. You know,
3-way tie for just last. 3-way tie for just last, the bye would be bad.
Yeah, if there was like a 5-way tie, then 2 people would play, the winner's safe, and then it's a 4-man bracket to see who gets last. But now that it's both, I don't know. A little bit.
We didn't specifically address it. I believe that the implications of everything we have said are somebody gets a bye and just one out of the 7 of us would randomly not be capable of finishing last. I don't know how else you can do it other than crazy double eliminator round robin scenarios.
Here's my off the top of my head. You get a bye, then you play normal. The 3 winners advance. If the person who gets a bye loses their first match, so they've only played 1 match, they're 0-1, they jump into the 4-man bracket, in the loser's bracket.
Oh, sure.
And now you just play. If they win, then you have a normal 3-way tie for last.
Yeah, where somebody gets the bad bye.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's totally correct.
If the person who gets a bye loses, okay, everyone is 0-1 at that point, so
no, you're totally right.
Put them in the loser's bracket.
That totally works. I don't see any flaw with that.
All right, so that's my.
All right, that's what we'll. I mean, unless somebody points out a flaw in the
I could
next
be
half
missing
an
something.
hour.
I literally came up with that this second. So
No, but you're right though. Like the person who gets the bye, if they lose, if we play a 7-man bracket with one bye, then there are going to be 3 losers.
Yeah.
And yeah, if the guy with the bye loses, he goes to the bottom 4.
Right. Everyone's playing essentially their one match. If you lose it, you're in the losers bracket. If you win a match, good.
Yeah, and if that guy wins, fine. He's one of the guys who has a win. Now the 3 players at 0-1 have to dice off to see which one of them gets a bye into the finals and which to play to try to escape the finals.
Exactly.
David Williams can make this all a lot easier. David Williams, and I know everybody's already cheering for the 7-way tie, but David Williams is basically playing to cut a week off of our season.
All right, I got to know, honestly, which one are you rooting for? I know you've said you want to make the playoffs, but if Dave wins, you're guaranteed not last. There's 2 things at stake here.
But if he
if Dave wins, you're 1 out of 7, you can make the playoffs.
I would
you're 1 out of 7 to now be out.
Wow, yeah, it's one out of 7 each way, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the 7 gets the 4 seed, and one of the 7 gets last. That's hilarious.
It's a very interesting experiment. I actually would love to poll everyone in this league to find out whether they would prefer to be locked in 5th or whether they'd prefer a tiebreaker where they get 4 each way. They could easily get their last.
That's really funny. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back with the match between Josh Utter-Layton and David Williams, and commentating that match alongside who just sent it all to the last match. Stay tuned. Bob Maher will be joining me momentarily.